Hello everyone. Hi, it's the last talk here of the day. So I hope you have enough energy to follow here this amazing speech. So my name is Michael Van Erom. I'm a technical consultant. And one thing really important, I think, is the fact that you can have the best ERP or software in the world. If you cannot insert any data inside your software, in fact, it's still useful for you. So here it's the reason why today I will talk about how to import your CSV or XLSX data directly inside Odoo. So first, I will certainly have a session of Q&A at the end, so don't hesitate to directly go to this pad here with the QR code here. So first, let's go to Odoo directly. So here I have a Odoo running here. In fact, in Odoo, how to import data directly. So it's quite simple. In every view, you have here this small icon here where you can click, and you have directly an import records here. Here I do that in the contact, but obviously if you go to other model, you can have the same. It's working only on Kanban view or list view. So if you go, for example, in a form view, you will not see that anymore. So here, it's really important to be in a tree view or a Kanban view here. Okay, so let's go back to our contact, for example, and let's try. So here, now with the new version, you can only take one file. Oops, sorry. So it's not here. It's here. So here you can just drag and drop your file directly inside Odoo, and automatically Odoo will enter and fill some information for you. So just have a look first at the screen to understand a little bit what happened. So here, first, I will show you the file I just upload in Odoo. So here I open, it's a CSV file. So here you see you have different information. You have an ID, you have a name, you have a company, a supplier information, and a street. Here, if you see, you can find back all this information directly. Automatically, for you, Odoo try to match depending of the header you put, and it's the reason why you have directly, for example, for my ID, for my name, and for my is a company, directly Odoo understand which column you have to take. So normally Odoo can learn also. So if you tell to Odoo which column it is, normally next time Odoo will find the information directly. So here you see Odoo find almost everything in my case. You have just two cases, the customer and the supplier. It's because, in fact, the label in Odoo is not directly customer. What I want to import here is not the customer, it's the customer rank. So here, because Odoo cannot do the match automatically, I have to do it manually. So here you see, for example, I just specify here that I had the customer rank here directly. I can do the same for supplier, because supplier, in fact, is the same thing. And here you see I have all the information here. For the moment, I will say I don't want to import the street for the moment. So I can just unselect directly here my street. Like that, I'm sure that Odoo will not import the street here. Next thing is to test here directly the importation. So here in Odoo, the test means that you will try the file without importing directly. So here, for example, I will do the test, and here you see everything seems to be valid. So now I can go to the next step and import here all these data. When I import here all these data, you see that you have a small toolbox where it was right that you have 8 new records. So here you can see all these new records here. Okay, so if you go back here to the import, I can go back here. So here, and in fact, it's done for the importation. So the importation is done. So I correctly import here all my 8 new record here. But here, let's talk here about all the options you can have. This option, so it's really depending of the CSV file, because in a CSV file you have a raw flat file directly, so you have to specify some specific thing. So first you have all the formatting information. So you have the encoding one, you have the separator between the columns here, you have the text delimiter, the date format, so it can be really important to be sure that the date is correctly formatted. Else you can have some problem with mismatch between months and days sometimes, so make really care about that. So here you see that it's not depending per column, it's depending by file. So here that means that you can select for all your file the date, the format of your date you want. Here you have the same for the date time, so it's the same as the previous date here. The only different thing is the fact that here you can also add the hour, the minutes, and the second here. You have the thousands separator and also the decimal separator, because obviously it can really depend. And sometimes because you receive your file from other, you can have some mismatch between the real configuration you have in Odoo and the configuration you have directly on your file. So it's a reason why you can decide by yourself here directly what you want. You have some advanced here information, so you can track the history during the import, so to be sure that everything you import is correctly directly, you can see something in the chatter directly. And also, you have here all the documentation if you want to have more information about that. You can also import some template directly for a customer, for example, here. What's the goal of that is just imagine you want to give to another party to give your file. You can, like that, directly click here, and automatically Odoo will create for you an example, and like that, someone else can directly adapt this file and resend you for a next import if you want. Okay, so we can go back here to my presentation. So here I already explained here all the different things. For example, also something really important is about the currency, when you have a currency. So you can, for example, have some example where you can import datas or not. So for example, you can also put a minus. You can put, as you see, an dozen or you can put separator here directly. You can also put directly the the symbol of your currency directly, but make care because the place of the symbol depending really from the currency itself. For example, when you import an euro, you will put the symbol at the end. If you put a dollar, normally it's at the beginning. Okay, is a reason why here, for example, you see that some art doesn't work. No relation field. So Odoo work with a relational database. So that means that when you will refer some different record from a record to another, you will use different relation. So in Odoo, in the ORM directly, we have 3 different kind of relation. You have the one-to-many, the many-to-one, and the many-to-many. Just to give you an example, if you don't, if you are not familiar with these terms, to understand a little bit what's the difference. So imagine you have a building here. You have owner, apartment, and building. So if I just split a little bit different concept here in my building, so that means that you have all your building, you have one apartment, and inside the apartment you can have an owner here. So if you look a little bit our relation here. For example, you see that in one apartment, so one owner can own different apartments, and inside an apartment you can have different owner. So you see that this relation is a many-to-many. Here you also have a relation between an apartment and a building. Here in this case you can say that you can have an apartment can have only one building, but a building can have several apartments. In fact, the one-to-many and the many-to-one is the same relation here, is just the side how you read here the information. So if you look from one side or another, you will see a many-to-one or a one-to-many, sorry. So in Odoo, what it looks like, it's in the case of a many-to-one, in fact, what you have to do is just refer only one record. For that, you have directly inside Odoo a widget specific where you can select inside existing record, and this widget is named many-to-one. If you look at a one-to-many, a one-to-many is a list, and it's quite normal because inside this list you will add new records here directly. In a many-to-many, it's quite similar, but the difference is that here you will not only create one new record, you can also select existing record, because here the relation is really many-to-many, so that means that you can select several records directly here to that. So here, something really important. So I show you that you can have some relation between data. That's really important. But know how to refer that. So in Odoo, you have three ways to refer a record from a table to another. So the first one is taking the name. So normally it's the less recommended way to do, because here, depending of the language you use, but also you have to be sure that the name is unique, because when you want to refer something, you have to refer to something unique. So it's a reason why generally we will select the two other way to refer a record. So here you have country/database ID. So here you have really the ID, so it's an integer, so it's 1, 2, 3. It's really an ID directly generated by Postgres. The next one and the final one is the external ID. So what's an external ID? An external ID in Odoo is a unique and human readable identifier. So here, what's the goal of this external ID? If I go to my database, in fact, you can find all these IDs directly inside the database if you type external identifier as a debug in the debug mode. And here, you can directly find all the external IDs. What's are really this table? This table is just a matching between the real ID you have in a database and something human readable. So if you have a look here, you can see the information here and the database ID here. It's directly right here. Here you see that you also have the table, so you know that this record match the REST partner with the ID 50. So here, the name of this is underscore underscore import underscore underscore dot test dot one. So why it's test dot one is just because it was what I specified directly in my file here. So if I open my file, if I don't know why it doesn't open, it's because it's already open. So here you see I had here a column ID. So here you see that you have test one, and Odoo automatically, when you import, had for you the name of the module as like that, underscore underscore import sorry, underscore underscore. Okay, so that's the external identifier. And like that, it's easy for everyone to refer directly to import test one. No, because it's more human readable. So also something really important, if you remember, if you go back to my contact, I forget to import all the streets. So but here I already import the datas. So what can I do? So I go back here and I can do the same operation that I just made. Here, I don't forget to put here the street, and I can directly import that. Here, you can see that I re-import the same data, and Odoo understand that they don't have to create new records, but they have to update records. And here, this mechanism comes from the fact that you have an XML ID. Because what will do Odoo is they will first check if for this record you have an existing XML ID or external ID, sorry, and directly link if it already exists to this record and update this record or create if it's not the case. Okay, so that's for an external ID. So now let's have a look how to import now a many-to-many, because a many-to-one was really easy because it's just one external ID at the time. But here, in the case of a many-to-many or a one-to-many, we see that the problem is that you can have a lot of different records that you want to put. For example, here you have contacts and you want to enter more than one tags. So here, for example, you have an easy case. So with only the service, but here, for example, you want to add 3 tags here directly on this record. In Odoo, it's easy. If you want to do that, you can directly separate with a comma. And here, if I import this file, you see directly that Odoo understand that here it's a many-to-many and that you separate with comma, so it's directly specified here in the comments. You can test here your file, and here you see that Odoo have some problems because here you try to refer, but this record does not exist. And you have another problem. You have also a customer here, and you specify a customer rank, but here the customer is set as true. So for this one, it's easy. I will say, okay, don't import that for the moment, and I will correct after. If you want, you can directly correct and re-import if you want, but here for the moment, I will keep this empty. So, and, whoops, sorry, no, so, and when you import here, and here, for this, it's possible to tell to Odoo what to do with these new tags, in fact. In my case here, I will say, okay, this tag does not exist, so you see all the different tags you have here. It's not a problem. You can create it directly from the import itself. So here you see, I select create a new value, and now I can import, and here you directly import here all the different new the new partners here. Okay. So that's for a many-to-many. Now you also have other problem. If you go to some specific model, like for example a purchase order, here I show you how to import directly a purchase order, but here you also want to import purchase line. And you have no menu to access to the purchase line here directly. But in fact, you know that a purchase order works directly with purchase line. So in fact, it's possible in Odoo to directly import all your line with your one-to-many relation. So for example, here what you will do is import a file inside the purchase order directly, and you can specify different line like that. Okay, so you just keep here all the different columns empty, and Odoo will understand that Odoo don't have to create one order per line, but only one order with several lines. Okay, so here, if I go back here to my purchase, I can import. So I make a mistake. Up, and here I will test again. Again, here they say that inside my line I have some product that Odoo don't know for the moment. So here I will do the same. I say to Odoo, okay, create this information for me. But here you see that you also have other problem. They say that you have a missing required value. So obviously, inside your database, you have some constraint and you have to keep this constraint. So here I will just add a vendor here, for example. And now I can import here directly. And you see it works directly. And directly I have my different purchase order with different lines directly. Okay. Just a small detail here. For example, something also really important to understand is the fact that Odoo will sequentially write the information. So it's really important to, every time you refer something, you have to declare it before it. So here, for example, you cannot specify Aurora shelves. You need to first declare it before. So you can not put this line after Roger Martins here, for example. A last case, it's the image. So sometimes it's really difficult to load all your image. For example, one of the most use case we can have is the product. You want to directly import all your product. For that, you have a new feature in Odoo. If you go to the product, you can now select here a file directly. And here you see that inside this file, you have two ways to import that. First one is you can use directly the URL. And now something you have something new normally. So first, for the moment here, you see that you have some other option. But if you select directly a binary, like an image, for example, automatically for you, Odoo will add a new option. And this option give you the ability to add new file, new image, for example. And in this case, Odoo can match here this column and will try to match the name of your image with the name here of the image you import here directly. Something also really important, you see here that you have a batch import. Here, why I have this option here, is because I just have a lot of different records here. You have to understand that in Odoo you have some timeouts, and it's really important to be sure that you never reach this timeout during your importation. So it's a reason why it's possible to have a batch import here directly. So here you see that you can import directly your image. Here I have no name, so it's a reason why I, whoops. So I have here to modify here my file. So if I go here, you can go just over here. You had a name. I will say product 1, product 2. Whoops. Whoops. Sorry, whoops. So, whoops. So I go over there. Oops, like that. I have a name. So I save my file here in CSV, and then I go back here. I load again my product. Whoops. So here I put, for example, an image. And now I import. And you see it takes more time, so it's the reason why here now you have your batch directly. Okay, so here apparently you have a problem, but let's assume that it works. So, okay, up. So here is the option. So thank you to Hermie. And if you have questions.
Hello, thank you. We do have questions. If I import lots of product in Odoo 17 with image from URL and some URLs don't work, the whole import fails. Any way to skip these errors?
So no, with the new option, you can directly import all your image directly. And you can also ask how many, for the size per batch you will have, and normally it's a workaround for that. So normally, no, it works.
All right. How do I will
Yeah.
go fast on the question. How to remove all data fields after upgrading Odoo version?
I don't really understand. What means? I had also how to remove all data field. In fact, if you want to clean that, you can do that directly in SQL. So I think it's. I don't really sure I
All right,
understand
no worry.
here the.
When would you use track history during import and when not?
It's because sometimes you don't want to have the history of your data because if it comes from another system, or it's just because for maintenance problem you have to re-import and you don't want to have noise in your history, so you can ask to don't put the information of the history here.
Another one. When
Yeah.
would you use subfields?
I don't know, to be honest. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't.
Is the import of data always company specific in multi-company environments?
Yeah, it's like for the translation. So you have to connect with the correct company in the correct language if you want to link directly. Something also really important is the fact that the multi-company in Odoo is just depending of generally a field named company ID. So you just have normally to specify this in your importation, and obviously you have to have the right to correctly write or read the information if you want.
All right. There's many more questions. I'm gonna
I don't know.
take like maybe the last one.
Yeah, the last one.
Is it possible to import entries with an analytical distribution without having to map the fields via field ID, but rather with the names of the fields?
In fact, when you have real big import like that and complex and technical fields like that, generally it's better perhaps to use Python script directly than doing that by the interface. So the interface is there more to help functional person, for example, to import a contact, project, and stuff like that.
Thank you.
Thank you.